The sound of the 3 o'clock bell made him grit his teeth as the old rusted parts of the mechanism scraped and tapped violently against each other. He yelled out at the crowd of exiting high schoolers, a reminder of the lab report due the next day. He knew without a doubt that none of them had heard him. He walked over to the desk of the student who had fallen asleep in his class and removed the textbooks off his desk, the same ones he used to slam down and wake the student up. He put them back in his drawer before turning to erase the whiteboard behind him. As he finished erasing the notes from the board, the last 2 students of his were leaving, a young blonde girl and her star quarterback boyfriend. She was the daughter of a former Miss USA, and he the son of an NFL Hall of Famer. A couple made for the camera. The girl turned to him as they walked out and glanced at him with the eyes of the clear Pacific blue. "Have a good day," she said to him, right before those beautiful blue eyes turned their gaze away from him. He gathered the rest of his things, fixed his gray coat onto himself, and began to make his way out of the classroom. As he walked out of the building, he observed the usual bustle of the Friday afternoon. Students running to get home to start their weekend. Some had bright green pieces of paper in their hands. Perhaps it was a notice from the school about something upcoming. His eyes then landed on a girl from his class, the one with the blue eyes, her body pressed up against the withered school lockers, as she and her boyfriend kissed as passionately as young love would allow. He walked onward and pulled out his tiny black phone. Surely outdated, but useful to him nonetheless. He clicked until a message was formed and sent it to his wife. He sent the message and then slid the scratched and faded rectangle back into his coat pocket. He made his way to the old gray Chevrolet that sat in the high school parking lot and was soon on his way. He pulled into a lot at the hardware store. He needed a few things before he made his way home. He grabbed a faded blue shopping cart from the front of the store. One of the front wheels veered back and forth. It took effort to keep the cart from veering too far to the left. He made his way along the aisles and grabbed the things he needed. Bolt cutters. His last ones had lost their edge. A blowtorch. The old one had grown empty and cold. And a box cutter. Too many of the packages in his house had been left unopened, and the box cutters made opening them much easier. Lastly, he grabbed a chocolate bar close to the register to satisfy his wife's sweet tooth, along with a single rose. And Friday, you could buy them fresh cut. He paid for the items and made his way back to his car. He put the key in the door, unlocked it, and soon was venturing home. As he pulled into his driveway, he grabbed the bags from the back seat and made his way into the house. He opened the door to see his 2 beautiful young children sitting at the table, working on their homework. His wife pulled pots from underneath the cabinet to work on dinner. He supposed she would be using some of the ingredients from the package he had opened up last week. He kissed both his children on the forehead as he walked by before heading to the kitchen to give his wife a sweet kiss on her lips. "I picked your package up and it's downstairs for you," she said, smiling at him. He kissed her again before making his way towards the basement. He used as a workshop. Before he forgot, he walked back to his wife and slid the chocolate bar he had bought for her in her back pocket. A wide grin spread across her face as she realized what it was. He descended into the basement and flicked on a light switch. The small area was illuminated by the faint glow from an almost dead bulb. He walked to the far wall and flicked on a second light, and watched as a secret stairwell opened, just barely visible from the faint light of the dying bulb. He descended down the stairs. As he did, he recognized a faint metallic smell in the air, and breathed it in warmly. The faint red on the walls was growing dark, and a new coat would have to be put up. He found a counter to put down his bags and briefcase before removing his coat and placing it on a rack in the corner. He picked up a deep red apron hanging from the same rack and tied it firmly to himself. He grabbed thick plastic gloves from the table and squeezed them into his hands. His heart began to race, as it always does when he works. An old mask hung on the wall in the corner. He had fashioned it himself from an old doll head his sister used to have, along with some leftover scraps from a few packages. He tied the mask firmly to his face before turning his attention to the young lady, tied securely to the table before him. She wore nothing but her undergarments, as anything else would simply make his job more difficult. He looked down at her as her chest heaved up and down in fear. He looked along her limbs at the barbed wire weaved so elegantly into her arms and legs. His wife had done an excellent job, he thought, as he traced his fingers along the web works of wire sewn into the girl, occasionally tugging at the strand. He turned to the bags in the corner and began taking out the things from the hardware store. The bolt cutter. He would have to save her toes and fingers. His children loved them boiled and thrown into his wife's beef stew. The blowtorch was needed for the next part. Then the box cutter. Freshly peeled skin made nice for a fine jerky. He reached under the counter and pulled a large jar from beneath it. He pulled a sheet from around the jar to reveal 4 large rats. He removed the lid and placed the opening on the girl's warm skin. He lit his newly purchased blowtorch and pressed the sky blue flame onto the bottom of the jar. After a while, he heard her scream underneath the cloth that bound her mouth shut. But politely, he hushed the girl, as he hated too much noise. He watched as the rats began to disappear inside of the girl's stomach, enjoying every sound as they tunneled. He looked at her, the tears flowing down her face from those eyes of the clear Pacific blue. He watched as those wonderful blue eyes rolled back into the girl's head and thought to himself, "This is truly the best package yet." As he smiled beneath his mask, he watched as the cloth of the girl's mouth was torn away, and one of the rats poked its scarlet head from the young teenager's mouth. Yes, he thought, the best package indeed.
It first happened around Willem Drive. When the sedan passed me, it flashed its high beam. A cop was ahead, or even more likely a deer. I hit the brakes, scanning the forest on either side. But nothing popped up. No cop hidden on the side of the road, ready to pounce on speeders. No herd of deer staring at me with glowing eyes in the darkness. When I'd gotten about a mile away, I figured I was safe. I pushed my foot on the accelerator and resumed my usual speed. Must have been a herd of deer that crossed already. I turned up the radio. A staticky carrying on my wayward son came in through. Damn, the reception in the valley really sucked. Well, my phone's battery was low, and I wasn't about to use up all the juice playing Every Rose Has Its Thorn for the 100th time. I turned the dial, but the rest of the station seemed even more staticky. At least I'll be home soon. I was halfway through making mental checklists for everything I had to get done tomorrow, when another pair of headlights blinked through the trees. When it got about 20 feet from me, it flashed its high beams. More deer? But as I drove through the darkness, I didn't see anything. No cop cars either, unless they were really well hidden. As the seconds ticked by, there was nothing else. No construction zones, no tree in the road or other hazard. My heart began to pound. What was he trying to warn me about? I glanced down at my phone. The screen is black in the passenger seat. Is it already dead? Maybe they were warning me about something wrong with my car. Both my headlights seemed to be working, but maybe there was smoke coming out of my tailpipe or something. I didn't like the idea of being stuck on the side of the road at 11 p.m. I sucked in a deep breath. It's probably just deer. There are lots of them around here, remember? The green sign for Edgar Ave popped up in my headlights, and my heart slowed. Less than 10 minutes from home. I thought of my fluffy, furry blanket I'd just gotten a week ago, curling up in it, eating some chocolate before bed as Leela snuggled up next to me. The thought made my heart slow even further. My cat, my room, my blanket. Another pair of headlights swung around the bend. As it approached me, it slowed, and then it flashed its high beams at me. My blood went cold. For some reason, the 2 flashes seemed to fit within the realm of coincidence. But 3? It's not a deer or a cop. It's something about me. Something wrong with the car, or... A horrible thought shot through my mind. That urban legend where a girl is driving home late, and a truck keeps following her and flashing his high beams. But the trucker is a nice dude, and he's flashing the headlights because there's a guy in the back seat with a knife, and he keeps rising up to stab her. Oh God, oh God. I turned the lights on, I whipped around. The back seat was empty, at least as far as I could tell. Swinging my gaze back to the road, I reached my hand around the back seat. My heart pounded in my chest as I slowly swept my fingers through the darkness behind me. What if there's someone there? I imagined my fingers meeting rough cloth, Warm skin, sticky hot breath, the cold steel point of a knife. But they only met air. I breathed a sigh of relief, swished my hand through the air a few more times, high and low. There was a dead spot that I couldn't reach, but it would be far too small for an adult man to hide in, unless he was some kind of gold medal contortionist. So maybe it is something wrong with the car then. Maybe they see smoke, or a door's ajar, or a light's out. I glanced at the side of the road. There was a margin of dirt between the edge of the road and the beginning of the forest. I could safely pull over and check what was wrong. Then again, this road was really lonely, especially so late. There were only a few houses on this road, and none that I could see right now. Just thick woods, brambles, and twisted bark that would muffle any screams. I'll take my chances driving home. I gripped the steering wheel, only about 5 more miles. I again thought of my warm little house and Leela, with her fluffy black fur and permanent smirk. A pickup truck swung by around the bend. I held my breath. They're not flashing at me. Good, almost home. But then there it was. Flash. The after image of the searing white light danced in my vision. Cold sweat broke out on my neck. Damn it, I whispered. What the hell is going on? Their headlights disappeared behind me, and the darkness immediately pulled around me again, like fluid filling a void. Scraggly, crooked branches clawed at my car, silhouetted by the full moon. The radio played straight static. I reached for my phone, and then I heard it. Tap, 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 coming from straight above me. Something was tapping on my moon roof. My entire body shook. The dark road in front of me became a blur. No, this can't be happening. How could someone even be? I jammed my foot on the accelerator. The speedometer shot to 30, 35, 40. Tap, tap, tap. Without even looking up, I reached shaking up to the moonroof. I pressed my hand against the glass. It felt warm, even though it was only 40 degrees outside. Fuck, what the fuck? I couldn't look up. It was just this visceral instinct, like the feeling you get when you know someone is watching you, and your brain is screaming hide. I bit my lip, staring at the road, waiting for my street to come up. Tap, tap, tap. Don't look up, don't look up, don't look up. Maple woods appeared before me. I swung onto the street, then I pulled into the driveway. Without even thinking through, I swung the door open. I ran as fast as I possibly could. Surprisingly, I got inside safe and sound. I spent half the night watching old movies. Leela curled up on my lap. I checked the front and back doors, and all the windows about 1,000,000 times each. I didn't dare look outside of my car. I closed my eyes, even when checking the front door. I thought I was safe, but I wasn't. Because now, I could hear it again. Tap, tap, tap. It was more frequent now. It was more frantic. Coming from right above me. Right above my bed. Coming from inside my own attic.